you for joining me again for Astrology in the News, the no big secret yoga and astrology video blog. Do these probably like 2 or 3 times a week, and boy, there's been a lot of news. Actually, there's been so much news about Donald Trump. I've been trying not to do Donald Trump's chart over and over again, but yesterday was so big because I predicted it and everything went great. So we'll be getting into that, and Mr. De Niro, whose chart I have not done, and a guy who has an affinity for FU. So, of course, we like to start this off with yogic wisdom of the day. Find yourself and be that. Or in Mr. De Niro's case, De Niro finally found his asshole. Get it? Poor helper monkey. I don't think it ever saw it coming. It's just like, I don't know how you get a capuchin up there, but whatever. So anyway, so yes, get rid of my menu here. So, correct prediction. The Trump-Kim summit was a success. And from what I've seen, I'm one of the only astrologers that predicted that this would actually go in Trump's favor. And if you go back and take a look at it, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I actually predicted that this would go very well for Trump and not bad for Kim, but other astrologers were predicting a Trump storm off and it wouldn't go well, blah, blah, blah. So, all right. I'm going to show you how I came to this conclusion. So this is Donald Trump's transit chart, and this was really the only chart that I needed to take a look at. So I saw other astrologers pulling the chart from Washington, and I don't understand why, because it's the leaders that are doing the actual negotiation. So it's the leaders that are going to put forth that charismatic vibe, you know? It's the whatever people are going to connect to. We're going to see it in the leader's chart, and here in Donald Trump's chart, you know, a lot of people were pointing to the fact, and this is a legitimate criticism, that Donald Trump was born close to a lunar eclipse. So we have this very heavy K2 moon conjunction opposed to Sun Rahu conjunction. So we got somewhat of a damaged emotions covered up by a big ego. Well, you can obviously see that in Trump's chart. And Trump has the sun transiting. Of course, Donald Trump's birthday is tomorrow, so this was very close to his birthday. So he's going through a sun transit right now. The other thing that they did not look at, though, is you have to always look at the depositor of the house, or the sign in this case. And in this case, it's Venus. Venus rules Taurus. Where is Venus? Venus is in the sign of like Cancer right now, and that's where Donald Trump's Venus is located. So when it comes back to its regular spot, this is going to be a favorable conjunction. Not just that, but take a look at Gemini. Donald Trump's, whose chart is on the inside here, his Gemini is right smack dab in the middle of, his Mercury's right smack dab in the middle of Gemini, and Mercury's transiting that right now. So a lot of this stuff played out in Donald Trump's favor. Secondly, Kim Jong-un does not have any major detrimental transits that I see here. The only thing that he's got going on is his Jupiter is conjunct, or transiting Jupiter is conjunct his natal Saturn. And his natal Saturn is in a place of exaltation, and when you have an exalted Saturn, generally it makes somebody work very hard or be a man of the people. And I think Kim Jong-un, he's only like 34 right now, and I think as he comes more into age, he's going to be a more responsible leader. Now, I'm not trying to justify all the labor camps and all that stuff, but you have to remember he inherited that, and he can be the one to change that. And secondly, too, really the best outcome here for the United States and North Korea is a peaceful transition from North Korea to be an isolated state into more of like a Chinese type managed economy. I mean, there's no good options for us here, man. I mean, the best possible option is peace. And hey, if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments and what your justification is, because I will look forward to making fun of it. I'm just kidding. I love all my listeners. All right, Robert De Niro uses a naughty word at the Tony Awards. Hey, F you. So yeah, so he said F Trump, and that's pretty much all of Hollywood. So let's take a look at Mr. De Niro's chart. So what I did is I tried to make this a little bit easier to read. Let me know if you like the new chart format down below. But what I did is this is basically the Southern Indian style chart. And if you're not aware of how these operate, each square represents a sign and a house. So in Indian astrology, it uses what's called the equal house system, which means that the houses and the cusps of the signs line up exactly. Whereas in Western astrology, they also use equal house as well, but they tend to use more Placidus, which is more based on where the positions are in the signs in the sky. So you can get one house per sign, or maybe I've actually seen like two cusps actually in one sign with Placidus. So it really depends on how far north you're built. Anyway, back to Mr. De Niro. Mr. De Niro's ascendant is in the sign of Gemini conjunct Cancer. So if you kind of take a look at that transit chart, Mercury's kind of going across his ascendant right now. So that's actually kind of fascinating because, you know, Mr. De Niro and Donald Trump really aren't that far away from each other. I mean, he's got his ascendant in Gemini. Donald Trump's got his Mercury in Gemini. And of course, he's got his Mars almost conjunct Donald Trump's Sun in Rahu here. So these guys actually have a lot in common, okay? Even though he's saying F Trump, he's just on the other side of the fence. But otherwise, I think if these two got with each other, and, you know, like friendly, not like no homo, you would actually do well. So, or they would get along. So anyways, Jupiter's exalted in the second house, which is pretty good for money. And also too, take a look at this. He's actually getting close to a nodal return. The nodes of the moon are getting close to him. So that tends to actually flip things around for people. These actually transit each other every 7.5 years or so. So you need to pay attention to that in your chart. Let's see, Sun in the sign of Leo with Mercury and Venus. Not that uncommon for an actor. Leo is all about being on stage, about being in front of people. It's really about having that command presence, okay? It's really owning the room. And when the sun is there, oh man, there's a lot of power. And the only place where the sun has more power is here in the sign of Aries here. But its home sign is Leo because it rules the sign of Leo. So this is in the 4th house. And this shows somebody also too that probably runs the home in a way. Let's see, Neptune in the 5th, and it's not conjunct anything. K2 here. No, okay, so it's moon being in the sign of Aquarius. The Aquarius is the sign of the people here. So, you know what? Mr. De Niro could have done all right in politics because this is in a 3-9 axis from each other. So, I'm not sorry. It's the 39th house that's kind of in the axis. And I like to call the Aquarius-Leo axis the political axis because you see a lot of politicians are either Leos or Aquariuses, at least when it comes to the United States. So many... God, it's creepy. How many popular United States presidents have been Aquarian? Lincoln, Reagan, geez, who else is there? George Washington. That's all off the top of my head, but there's a lot of them. So taking a look further at his dasha system, so he's actually in the middle of his Venus dasha, and he has a retrograde Venus, which generally tends to mean that Venus is going to act like it's in the sign of Aquarius here. And so, but Venus in Leo really tends to show that, you know, somebody really loves the attention, but since Venus is retrograde, which only happens 5% of the time, it really twists around the meaning. So they're a little bit more logical than other people. They're really not as they're not as emotional, really, especially with the moon here in Aquarius. There's the Saturn influence definitely over this chart. So now what I wanted to look at finally is his transits, which is, I'm going to start throwing these in a little bit more because they're very interesting to take a look at. So him, let's see, what does he got? So Pluto's transiting Rahu. Okay, so when Pluto transits Rahu here, actually Rahu's going to be transiting, but anyway, this is going to bring up a lot of passion, and this is a very slow transit. This transit takes a couple of months, so Mr. De Niro's really deciding to express himself, and it's almost on this, like Pluto's very subconscious and visceral. It's about destruction, recreation, and when you get the north node of the moon in there, it amplifies it. It's like throwing gasoline on a fire because Rahu's all about passion, drive, motivation. Well, it's actually got some Martian qualities to it too. So you're going to see that coming up with him during this transit. Uranus, or the moon is transiting Uranus. I'm not putting too much because that's a slower transit. That was actually a couple days before the Tony Awards. I pulled this chart up for today. Let's see. Ooh, Neptune conjuncting his natal moon. That one's kind of difficult because it can make somebody actually delude themselves a little bit. It tends to cloud the emotions, or at least you don't know if your emotions are your own emotions too. And in the sign of Aquarius, it clouds things even more because Neptune actually in Aquarius, you know, kind of seems to cloud intentions and things like that. So I think he's acting in a way that's not necessarily, how do I put it? Like really in his normal personality realm. Let's see, and then finally take a look at Capricorn. Ooh, okay, so he is getting nailed by the Mars and K2 transit through the sign of Capricorn here. So yeah, that's kind of a double whammy. So I kind of understand why he's acting this way. I mean, whether I agree with it or not, he's really feeling compulsed to actually bring this stuff up in his chart. So, all right, that's all I have today. If you like what you see, go ahead and like and comment below. And if you'd like to book a consultation, send an email to nobigsecretsyoga.com. Your consultations are with me. They get recorded and I send the recording to you. That's awesome. And I also do give you a free copy of your chart. And I really use the same charts that you see on this broadcast. So yours will have a lot more information, but it uses the same program. All right, that's all I had for today. I really hope you liked what you enjoyed what you saw. And of course, like and share. Have a great day.